Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. Shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today? Where I'm not wearing my headphones right now, so I can't actually hear the in-game music or sounds in general. So I hope everything's okay. You know, I probably should check that. What's my volume at? Is that normal? It's because I got a towel on my head because I just came out from the bathroom after having a very relaxing bath, and my hair's kind of wet, and I don't really like putting my headphones on when my hair's wet because it makes everything so wet, you know. I've got like these foamish ear paddings as well, and I feel it's probably a bacteria breeding ground if I end up consistently exposing it to moisture. But anyway, good evening everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 11:20 p.m. on Wednesday, March 3rd, 2023. A pretty late episode today. It's just how things shook out, you know, some delays. Some may say there were a lot of train delays today, so didn't have as much time to do things that I wanted to. But here we are now. We're going to relax, I'm going to unwind, and then I'll probably go to sleep sooner or later. I don't really know. But yeah, what should we talk about today? It's almost kind of eerie, like, I suppose, not wearing my headphones, recording videos. Like, I know I've done it before quite a few times, but I never realised how much I sort of got used to the feedback, I suppose, from my headphones. Because if you don't know, I have a pretty reasonable audio setup, I would say. I have like an XLR microphone. It goes into whatever it's called, like an audio interface, and it's a Scarlett 212. If you're curious, I think it's a bit of an old model. I keep hearing like weird noises over there. It's probably like the bathtub draining or something. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, anyway, it's got like a monitoring thing, like a feedback thing, where you can hear what its input is, and it feeds back into your headphones without like messing with your desktop audio and that sort of thing. And there was not really a delay on it, but it was technically, I think, like on not noticeable, a tiny delay, because there kind of has to be. It's not like, you know, information can't travel instantly, but it is not a very long distance, I suppose, between the microphone cable to the interface to my headphones, but still, it's nice to have a little bit of a feedback thing, so you can sort of kind of hear how you sound. Now, bear in mind, I don't hear myself like in full clarity, as if I was like in full volume, and isn't it like a very consistent thing? Like you tend to hear yourself differently from how you actually sound, right? Something like that. So adding that like layer on top of it makes it, I don't know, it's an interesting or uncanny experience. But it's not really uncanny, it's sort of something you get used to, I think, rather quickly. And now it feels weird in not hearing it, because it's something where I can immediately notice it's not on. Because it's not like the loudest thing in the world. It's not like it's my own voice like in my ear. It's just like it's kind of like ambiently in the background, I suppose. That's how I describe it? I don't know. I don't really know, to be honest, but still. It's not like extraordinarily loud. It's not overpowering or anything like that. Like, I don't know. Maybe if I really concentrate and as I hold my headphones up to my ear, I can hear it. So if I just speak like this, I don't know. It's like, or maybe I turned it off. No, it looks like it's on. Is it direct? Oh, I just punched my microphone on my nose. Direct monitor is on. I might have just turned it down. I don't know. I've got it up pretty high. Can I turn it up even higher? Hello. I mean, I can't really notice a difference, I suppose, doing that, but maybe that's because I'm so accustomed to it. If anything, I guess I should turn it down, shouldn't I? What if I just turn it down so I don't hear it anymore? I don't know. If for some reason, it just makes everything feel so quiet, you know? It's kind of like that situation if you like play white noise and then suddenly you turn the white noise off. You're just like, it feels eerily quiet. Despite the fact it's not really that much more quiet than before. It's not like white noise contributes a huge amount of noise in the first place. I mean, I guess it does, sort of by definition of it, but you know what I mean. It's a thing where it's actually kind of useful in a sense, because I can immediately tell if my microphone's not on, because I just like start speaking and be like, welcome back everyone, and I'll be like, something's not right. This doesn't sound like how it normally sounds, and I look over and the bright red LED signifying whether my microphone is on or not is off, and then I'll be like, that makes sense. It's weird how your brain sort of gets used to these very subtle, small things, right? The human mind is, well, we need to give it far more credit than we actually give it credit, I feel. Far more mysterious than we might give it credit for. You know? Just these tiny little things, like just the feedback of my own voice through my own ears. And in fact, how it sounds different from real life is such a small, surprisingly noticeable thing when I'm recording right now. Like, I don't know. I guess it sort of puts me in my zone when I've like got the headphones on. I'm just like, yeah, this is it. I'm like focused on whatever I'm looking at my screen right now. And then not having it there just makes me go, huh? It's sort of like, look at all of this air, all this space around me. You know, I'm suddenly sort of like more aware of it. I'm not sure if more accustomed to it is the right word, but it's more like I feel it. I hear everything, that sort of thing, you know? What have we got in our inventory? We can't really sell any of it, so we've got to be a bit cautious. So I guess I'll just do a bit of Nookmal. That's not Nookmal. I'm surprisingly tired today. Nookmalish and farming. I don't think I'm necessarily like sleepy tired. I'm just more sort of like fatigued. Is that the right word? I don't really know. Talk to our neighbours. We need to do that and have a quick change. All of those things are doable, provided we see them. But yeah, I don't know. Like feedback, yeah, you know, a feedback loop. You know, we used to learn all about feedback loop in electronics, I suppose. And you might be like, electronics, what's that? It's basically circuitry, the subject. I ended up taking it as a class. It's not a very common, like a GCSE nor an A level, but I took it for both. And then, yeah, it's basically to do with circuits, and then, you know, you learn basic circuit stuff. If you take physics, you know what I'm talking about. You learn about like electronics as normally a submodule and that sort of thing, and just take it further to now, you know, use like chips and then even get to basic, very basic assembly programming during A level, from what I recall. But yeah, but there's one module I always remember is I don't remember what are they called, but it's what are they called? Filters, yes, because filters. The way they rely... what are those items? Like comparators? Is that what they're called? I just remember on a circuit diagram, you basically draw them as a triangle, and they have like a negative feedback loop built into them. Or something like that, and that's how they work. I cannot remember the details of it off the top of my head, so I wish I could. But it's something like by connecting its output to the negative input. Because I think if you do it to a positive input, it becomes like an amplifier, right? Or like it's constantly on, but by doing it to a negative input, it makes it like a filter of some sort, depending on the choices of like capacitor and resistor you use on some other part of it. Does this make sense? Let's see. Filter, and filter, circuit. So how do you spell circuit? Okay, circuit diagram. Now these might all be American ones, which might be no, not a capacitor input filter. I want a comparator filter. Yeah, here we go. Now, where's the capacitor? No, that's an impedance capacitor. I remember that. I'm looking at electrical engineering stack exchange. Maybe it's only reliant on resistors? That might make some more sense. Why do I feel like it was necessarily reliant on some capacitors? Because I remember for my A-level project for electronics, one of them I did was basically a mixer, like an audio mixer. So it basically just had like 3 filters in a row, like a treble, a mid, and a bass filter. And you had like little knobs which you can use to control that sort of thing. So I mean, it feeds back into a positive terminal, so I did remember wrong. For some reason I thought it fed back into a negative terminal. Maybe it feeding back into a negative terminal meant something different. Actually, this one feeds back into a negative. Low pass? Op-amp. Op-amp op-amp is a very familiar phrase. Is this how the capacitors works? So something like... How does it work? Let me think. It's just like, if the positive side is higher than the negative side, then it outputs a positive signal. Otherwise, it's a negative signal, right? Something like that. It's just like a threshold. But somehow the feedback makes it, like, actually become a filter somehow. Actually, this one's a feedback into a negative. Active filters. Op-amp filter. I don't know, hold on, this one's feeding back into the negative. Yeah, okay, sorry, I was reading the diagram song. But I think they're all feeding back into the negative. Is this one, I saw the feeding back into a positive, it was doing it through a capacitor, or a capacitor, or a resistor. Wait, hold on. Low and high pass filters, hold on, let's look at the difference. Maybe it's the positions of resistors or capacitors. What on earth is that? Low pass filter. High pass filter, okay, yes. You switch around one of the capacitors and resistors for a low pass or high pass filter. That's probably why I was getting confused. Anyway, I'm going to do some calculations with this, and something happens. I don't remember how it works, but I remember used to know, and would be able to explain to you how this op amp comparator works. But unfortunately, I don't remember anymore, and I suppose I'm not really an audio engineer, so it's not really something which stuck in my mind. And I say this a little bit about school and education a lot. Like you really don't use all that much from school, but the problem is you definitely use, well, I suppose it depends on your job and depends on what you do later on, but you use like maybe 10% of what you learn from school, like actively, like in-depth stuff, like overarching, like branching stuff, like learning to read or like learning to add numbers or something is like, okay, I'm going to just take that as a given. You don't necessarily need that as to specialize in that or something in the future, but those are just like general good life skills to have, I suppose. But when I mean your like specializations, you only really need like 10% of your specializations. Even that is probably a little bit generous. The problem is you don't know which percentage of which parts of your specialization you need. I mean, take me for example, I take like maths, physics, chemistry, and electronics, and technically for maths, I suppose it's A levels. But what parts of those do I need in like an everyday existence? Like not really all that much of it, to be honest. I guess kind of maths-ish knowledge. If anything, I need more computer science knowledge rather than that sort of thing, which I suppose is ironic because I did not take an IT or computing A-level or GCSE, nor did I even take at university or anything. I took maths again. And well, look at me now. I'm not like a maths researcher or anything. So, all the stuff I've learned about, I don't know, complex analysis, definitely don't need that anymore. And then this is a point where you argue, where I normally argue in maths' favour, is that it's more of a problem-solving subject rather than necessarily specifics aren't as important as being able to know that you can learn things. Because maths in the end is basically just like a load of rules. And it's basically how well can you learn these rules and the interactions between them. Like, not simple rules, quite complicated rules, mind you, but it's through that, well, I suppose many different systems in life are just made up of like a load of rules which you just sort of need to learn, and through that is basically how efficiently can you learn it and apply this. How well can you adapt to like a whole new set of rulings, laws, I suppose, for you to abide by. And that's what maths kind of is. It's just like a problem-solving aspect of it. Anyway, what's this got to do with low and high pass filters? Excuse me, Joy-Con? Low and high pass filters? Absolutely nothing, to be perfectly honest. Just thought, I'd talk about it. It just came to mind. But yeah, feedback loops. That's a very important part of like that electronics module, and I can't remember it anymore. I remember there's also another thing which I think we learned in GCSE called D-type oscillators. D-type is basically kind of like a comparator, if I recall. It's like it has two inputs. It's got two inputs, two outputs. It's got Q and Q bar. Those are the outputs, I think, and the inputs I think are D and D bar, or something like that. And it's something like every time it receives, no, it must be D and something else. D and another letter, maybe like P or something. Every time it receives a high signal through P, it will output whatever is at D to Q, is basically what happens. And Q bar is just always the opposite of Q. That's what I recall D-type doing. But anyway, you can do like, you can make a counter by putting the Q bar to D or something. So, and then every time you pulse in the D, it will like be a binary counter if you like chain them all up or something like that. And anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about this, because I remember in one lesson when we first learned about them or something, I don't know, I guess I clearly remember this is because I got a question right, and you tend to remember times where you felt proud of yourself or working something out. But I remember he was teaching us about this, and I distinctly remember that you're meant to do the feedback loop from Q bar to D, and then he was just like, oh, but theoretical question to a class, he showed us like a binary like counter by like chaining four of them up or whatever, and he was like, question to a class, what happens if you, instead of doing a feedback loop from Q bar to D, you do it from Q to D? And I remember him like saying that and taking a sip of water, like tea or whatever, like in preparation, and then me just going, does it count backwards? I mean, he didn't do it like split take, but he was like, what he was drinking, that sort of thing where you're like mid-drink and when someone says something and you like respond and you like try and quickly put down your drink at the same time and swallow it. I mean, he gave me a high five. That's all I remember. I don't know, I wonder how he's doing now. I think he retired, but still. He was a pretty cool teacher. D-type oscillator? Anyway, all that information I might have said might just be completely wrong, so... Oh, but that's it. It's the clock. It's not P, it's clock. It's got D, Q, Q bar, and clock. This is not... And oh yeah, and the D type is just like made out of comparison in the first place or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of coming back to me, kind of not really coming back to me. D type counter? Yeah, here we go. Q bar to Q bar to D. Digital counter. I mean Q is your counting bit. Weird. Well, not that weird. Just sort of weird that it resides in my memory. Sort of, well, vaguely resides in my memory. I also remember, I feel like in our GCSE electronics paper, I remember we had a question on a D-type oscillator, and then I was like 90% sure that the diagram was actually incorrect. I should look it up sometime if I can find out if they like the examiner's report was like, oh, due to a question and due to an error or something in this in XYZ question. I don't know. Do you think I can find it? I can remember the exam board. It was WAJEC electronics GCSE past papers examiner reports. What year did I do GCSEs? That was specification. Past papers. Oh, it does go pretty far back. Okay, let me think. I must have done it in 2016 or 2015. Written paper. No, summer? Wait, hold on. What are the difference between these? Mark scheme. Let's see if I can find this. But it was something to do with a D-type, and we had to draw like a graph of basically what the output was. And I just remember, I think it was like they labelled something wrong. Where like conventionally through like lessons we learned it this way, but then like two of the labels were swapped or whatever. Something like that. This doesn't look right. Hold on, let me actually look at the exam paper. I feel like I do look at these old exam papers quite a lot for whatever reason. Resistor color codes, I forgot about those. Monostable and astable, I remember that. Is this right? Longest period with spot signals. Is it all multiple choice? I don't remember it all being multiple choice, but maybe it was. Oh, here we go. Complete the graphs to show Q and Q bar outputs. No? A rising edge and... No. Clock. Data. No, that looks right. I also feel like I remember it only being on the rising edge. Things get copied over or whatever, not the falling edge. I mean, there is a graph here, but I felt like it was a larger graph. Was it this graph? That doesn't seem right. Was it GCSE? No, there's no way. We didn't do D-types in GCSE, did we? I remember it took up a full page, this entire graph. Schmidt inverter. Wow. This sort of stuff brings me back. Looking at it. I'm just like, wow, it looks so familiar. Paper replacement test. 2016. What? This is 2016, right? 13th of June 2016? Is that right? That seems right. I don't know, a lot of these papers always look the same. Oh, maybe it was in my mocks. Maybe it wasn't in... So that would have been 2015. Past paper. Let's see. Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe it was A-levels, not GCSEs. Yeah, because I'm looking at GCSEs right now. Oh, no, hold on. Is this it? Is this it? No, it doesn't seem right. I just remember the setup and me manually calculating everything which happened, and it was quite a complicated setup. Maybe it was A-level. I don't know why I'm so concerned about this. You probably already checked out at this point, but you know, gosh darn it! If I want to know, I want to know. Maybe it was A-level. Oh no! What on earth is that? Do not Google Lens this link. Okay, past papers. When did I? Wait, maybe I did Wait, did I do GCSEs in 2013? Yeah, because I graduated in 2016, didn't I? Wait, did I? Yeah, hold on. 2016 would be my A level examination, right? Okay, well, let's look at A level. Truth, logic gates. Is it redraw a system using logic gates. Was it this? Ah, is this it? Oh, but A stable below. This could be it. Hold on, let's look at my mark scheme. So I do think I got 100 UMS on this anyway, so. Let us see the graph. Timing diagram completely correct. R bar, S bar, what is going on? Just something in my mind was like, this was incorrect for some reason. Was it this logic gate? No. Oh no, maybe was it this one? It was D-type flip-flop. But we draw the own diagram here. I'm very confused. What am I talking about? Why am I so convinced that something was wrong in one of the things? And why do Wayjek have such terrible mark schemes? You couldn't even be bothered to put like a proper graph in the mark scheme here? Wayjek? SMH. Schmidt inverter? Wait, did we learn about Schmidt inverters in GCSE and A level? I mean, it must be that paper 1, because that paper 1 had a thing where it had a graph take up the entire screen. I don't know why I'm so concerned about this anyway. I guess I'm not really. I'm just sort of thinking about it. What on earth is paper 5? Oh, it's a programming one. Did we do this? Active oh, here we go. Filters? No, I don't remember doing this. Intercom? This doesn't seem right. Thermostat? That's just scrolling by. Paper 4. I don't even know what paper 4 is. Did we really do 4 papers of electronics? Oh no, this is probably ASNA2, right? That makes sense. Modulation? Did we learn about modulation? I think so. As time goes by, it's even harder and harder, I suppose, for me to remember my past papers, which I guess makes sense. It's probably 2015 we did. Let's see. Paper 1, paper 2. This one doesn't even have a mark scheme, so I guess I'll never find out the answer. Of a 2-input NOR gate. I just remember I felt it was wrong. But I can't tell you why. Was it because of this? It had a reset and set backwards or something? I don't know. And I guess I'll never know. I'm looking up for really no apparent reason, but anyway, I'm going to round off this episode here because it's gone on long enough. So if you have been watching, oh my god, 23 minutes. If you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Adam across New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, discussion, shares, greatly appreciated. Twitter, Discord down below. Hope you see each other again, but for now, it's our farewells. Until next time, bye-bye for now.